Dacora Super Dignette is a somewhat strange looking camera that I now have on my shelf. And to my surprise, I enjoyed using it a lot more than I anticipated. But I'm having fun with it. It's actually a very enjoyable camera to use. And so far, really enjoying the Super Dignette. Yeah, this is fun so far. It's not a camera that is very well known. In fact, it is probably better known as the Ilford Sportman, which is actually the 1916 version of the Dacora Super Dignette, which I happen to own. It was mainly marketed as the Ilford Sportman in the UK, as far as I can gather. Now let's quickly discuss a couple of the technical details before we move on to my experience with this machine. The Dacora Dignette was manufactured from 1956 to 1962 in Litemons, Germany, with 4 versions being introduced in that time. 1956, 1958, 1960 and 1962 were the respective years the Super Dignette introduced a new version, so to speak. Like I said, this one is the 1960. Let's look at the technical specs. Type, this is a 35mm range or scale focus camera. Operations, completely manual. It has lens variations among the models, and these include a Dacora Dignette 45mm f3.5 or 2.8. Mine is the Dignette 45mm f2.8, or a Steinheil Kassar 45mm f2.8. Then you also have an aperture range from, in my case, 2.8 to f22 or 3.5 to f22. The closest focusing distance of this lens is 3.5 meters. There's also a variety of different shutter variations in these models. These include the Vario L-key, the Prontor SLK, mine uses the Prontor SLK leaf system, the Prontor 250 LK, the Prontor 300 LK, and the Prontor 500 LK. Like I said, it's a leaf shutter. Your shutter speed options range from bulb, 1 second, and in my case, all the way to a 300th of a second. The shutter sync speed for this camera is a mere 1/30th of a second. The light meter is a built-in coupled selenium light meter with the needle indicator system, needle and a line that needs to match up in order for you to have the correct exposure. Remember, it's a selenium light meter, so it's red sensitive. You might end up underexposing a little bit. The super in the Dignette actually indicates the fact that this Dignette has a built-in light meter. The super range means it has built-in light meters. It does not have a flash hot shoe, but indeed a cold shoe for accessories. It does have a PC X-Sync port for flash. It does not use any batteries. The ISO is unfortunately not indicated in ASA or ISO, but rather in DIN or Deutsche Industrie Norm, and it ranges from 12 to 30. If you are stumped by the DIN standard, fear not, there is a conversion table or indicator on the rewind knob, and that should give you the corresponding ASA or ISO speed rating for the DIN that you'll find on the camera. The weight is a mere 507 grams, not in fact a mere, it's 507 grams. Construction is metal, plastic, leatherette, and it comes with this gorgeous leathery pouch. It's a very hard leather. As one can see, the construction is rather solid and rugged, and certainly will stand the test of time with moderate use. The camera also has a film counter, so it counts back from 36 to 1 to indicate when your film should in fact be done or how many exposures you have left. And we have on the beautiful bottom leatherette plate the tripod thread and also a rewind button that you press to rewind the film once you have completed your roll. One thing I have to say about the Dacora is that the viewfinder is really nice and large with parallax markings, which I find quite easy to use. And in terms of price, you can look to pay $30 to $50. So I loaded up the camera with Kodak Gold 200. I also used the FFWB Combi Meter. It's a cold shoe rangefinder, external rangefinder that's from the 1950s. It was manufactured in Germany. Problem is, it gave me the ranges in feet, and this one is in meters, so I had some conversions to do. I didn't do a specific excursion with the camera. I just kept the camera with me in my car for a couple of weeks so I could shoot bits and bobs as I had an opportunity while going about my business. Where possible, I made some videos using my phone, so please excuse the phone quality of these videos and also the sound while I was on location.
You know, as a photographer, it helps you think differently about how you shoot when you use one of these cameras. You consider other things than when using your digital camera, and it's a bit more of an involved process, and I do enjoy that. I think it's good for one to do that. But so far, good fun.
Okay, so I finished the roll. So you basically just need to keep turning this. It's just, I mean, there's no crank, so you need to do it by pressing that little button like most 35mm and then turning this. But because it's got no crank or winder, it's actually quite painful. And the way to see if you've actually rewound the whole thing is by cranking the advance lever. If this still turns, you know the film is still wound up on the other side. So you turn this, you'll feel it suddenly give way, you know, and suddenly lose that tension. And if you test it now, you'll see if I turn it, this doesn't turn, which means the spool is now taken up and there's no more film left on the winder. And then to open it, basically, I think I can't remember. It's been a while since I've actually opened it. Oh, there we go. So there we go. Yeah, this is fun so far. I'll see you back in the studio.
So it was a lot of fun to use, and interestingly, the shutter, see, that sits on the front of the camera, and so you have to press inwards and not down. That was actually quite interesting for me. Now, according to allmycameras.com, a cool site, the idea was that a force in the Z-axis, not the XY, but the Z-axis, might cause less shaking than the usual push-down buttons or levers, which I suppose makes sense, like some Exacta cameras had or utilized. The light meter, in my experience, was actually quite accurate once I figured out how to use it or to read it. The pictures, although I admittedly shot most of them stop down quite a bit, you know, f8 and even smaller, they're very sharp for what I considered to be a very cheap looking camera. It's very sturdy, but I still felt it must be a budget camera. The operation is in fact quite fun and easy. I did run into one problem. I noticed every now and again that the shutter seemed to, there it did. It made this weird little muffled sound, and every couple of shots, and this in the end proved to be a problem. After finishing the roll, I tested it and I noticed that the shutter would get stuck or fail completely every couple of shots, and now it probably won't do it. There it did it. Especially at slower shutter speeds. Now, I've since received an estimate to fix the issue from a technician, but it's going to cost really multiples of the price I paid for the camera. And although it seems to be a fairly simple fix, there's some people on YouTube who shows you how to do it. Well, look, I've destroyed my share of vintage gear by fiddling with it, and I'm not quite ready to kill this camera yet. However, with the price of film and scanning and processing, I cannot risk only getting 15 out of 36 exposures. I mean, it might be even worse sometimes. So until such time that I can make a plan, it will have to stay on my shelf. In terms of the images, I also noticed the lens is actually very good quality. Like I mentioned, it's very sharp. The colors seem to reproduce well using Kodak film and what I know of Kodak film. And I don't notice from the scans really aberrations that is too hectic. I noticed some, towards the edges, a little bit of fall off of sharpness, but for the most part, it's actually a really, really sharp lens. I'm very impressed with it. Now, if you have any information or experience with this camera, please share it in the comments below. Or if you like this video, please press like and subscribe to my channel. I'm going to post a couple of affiliate links down in the description so that you can go and buy your own Dacora as well, should you wish. And if you can get one that functions well, I think it's worth it. And for 30 bucks, if you can find one that works, why not? Thanks again for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.